I am addicted to these sparkling waters at the moment, like addicted. I literally go through 3 a day. Okay, this week has just literally been all over the place for vlogging. I feel like I have had so many days where my camera battery has run flat or just things have gotten in the way. So I am finally sitting down today to film the Q&A, which I thought would be kind of fun because I haven't really done one of these on YouTube before and I love watching them, and I think it'd be a nice little way for those that maybe don't follow me on other platforms to kind of get to know me a little bit better. So I asked you guys on Instagram to send in some questions and I thought I would pick out a few that you guys sent in to go through. This one might be a good starting one. So someone asked, how did I start my business? I guess for context, I have always been a really creative person ever since I was like a child. Literally the first thing I ever wanted to be, I want to be an artist. So I have always wanted to be creative. I think when I was growing up, I wasn't really sure like where that was directed. I spent a lot of time in high school oil painting, and I thought like, oh, I'm going to become a professional painter. Like I'm going to work towards moving my work into galleries and like go down that route. And then COVID hit. I was stuck inside. I kind of lost my job. I had so much time on my hands and it was my 21st birthday. And my mum had originally said she was going to buy me a ceramics like course for my 21st. And we obviously couldn't do that. So instead she bought me a bag of clay and a bunch of tools. I just started making stuff, and I already kind of had a bit of knowledge from high school ceramics, but like, I'd never made anything where I just had total creative freedom. So that was really nice. I started making stuff and suddenly I just like found my own style really quickly. I just wanted to make things I think that were really unserious, because I think after being in high school and making these like really serious realistic oil painting, I sort of just wanted to do something really playful and silly and like just for me. I was kind of just making for me, and then I started posting it online and suddenly it got like a bit of attention from my 200 followers maybe, of family and friends that followed my like art account. But then suddenly random people started seeing my stuff and were engaging, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. Maybe I just need to like see where this goes. I gradually like built a small collection of ceramics because I quickly had made like too much stuff for myself. Then I did like some small markets around Brisbane, and then I created like a website and started doing small drops, and everything just kept growing from there. Started doing bigger markets, bigger website drops, focusing more on social media. I quit my job to take it full time in 2021. I feel like it was 2022 when I quit my job, around my birthday. So it was kind of interesting. I started around my birthday and I took it full time around my birthday. One of the next questions kind of feeds into this one. Does having a degree in law help with any aspects of your business? So for those of you guys that don't know, I actually studied law at uni. I studied law straight out of high school. I was convinced I was going to become a lawyer. I worked in law while I was studying, and then in my last year, I think it was, I managed to get a full-time job in an art supply store, the Art Shed in West End. If you guys know, you know. Yeah, just basically threw away my whole legal career for this like art supply role. So that was like, I think, a real turning point in my life, and that job helped me to kind of take my art way more seriously because it gave me way more mental clarity and like flexibility, because I wasn't just focused on how depressed I was and how much I hated my life working in law. Anyway, to the actual question, I don't think my law degree really does help me in many aspects of my business, to be honest. I feel like it is pretty specific, and I mainly worked in like commercial litigation, which I'm not really dealing with any kind of extreme commercial matters that I like ever worked with. Yeah, I think like it gives you kind of a good understanding of, I guess, like where you stand and like your rights in terms of like intellectual property and whatnot. But yeah, I probably don't use it very often. It would have been way more useful if I studied like marketing or, I don't know, business or something, I think. Loving the YouTube vids. What's been the hardest part of your ceramics journey so far? Thank you so much. I think ceramics itself has been like pretty straightforward to learn. The technical side of things, like having a kiln and stuff, that I guess would be like the hardest part. And you know, when you're first starting out, saving up for a kiln and saving up for all of the equipment. Like I managed to do that pretty quickly because I basically just pulled everything that I earned towards my business. So I guess like in more of a broader context, I think the hardest thing about running a ceramics business has probably been content creation. I've always wanted to make YouTube videos, and I've always wanted to, I guess, like put myself more out there online, but I think actually doing that is so challenging, and it is so it can be really like heartbreaking, and like you can feel really cringe doing it. Yeah, I'm really glad I finally have like just bit the bullet, let go of like any cringe feelings and just done it, because yeah, it's also like, I think one of the most rewarding parts is like actually sharing your work online and like sharing your process and getting other people's like feedback about that. I think that can be really rewarding as well as challenging, but I think that's the part that I find the most challenging, especially because I'm pretty introverted naturally. How do you work out your prices of your handmade, I'm guessing, products, e.g. materials, labor plus profit equals like the price? Okay, I am probably the worst person to ask. I have very rough ideas of how much it costs me per product like to make, but they're quite rough and vague. And I know what you're saying, like I need to have a spreadsheet. I touch the ceramics so many times, from when I like first make them to when I fire them, glaze them, fire them again, like that it's so difficult to track exactly the amount of time. So like know roughly how much like the materials cost me, but the material cost is pretty cheap. Like the biggest cost is my time. There are so many people that have really good pricing guides online and like formulas and stuff. I would say go with them. I'm not a genius with any of that. I kind of just pull a price out of my arse. I have been doing this obviously for quite a while. When I first started out, I priced everything way too low, which I think is like really common. Now I'm pretty comfortable with my pricing. I know it's like pretty consistent with a lot of other ceramicists that are kind of like, I guess, at a similar point in their career to me. So like I'm pretty comfortable with it. I don't really want to inflate prices a lot more and like overcharge either, because I want my work to still be quite accessible. So that's like not very helpful at all. But yeah, I don't really have a good pricing formula. Don't listen to me, basically, is the moral of that story. Do you get imposter syndrome, and how do you combat it? Absolutely, I get imposter syndrome. I think everyone does, hey. And I think it almost gets worse, I guess, the bigger audience that you start growing, because then you suddenly are like, oh my god, like these people can't be real people. There must be bots watching me. Like, I think imposter syndrome and like also comparing yourself to people online that like maybe are doing better than you, or like you think they're doing better than you, or like that you look up to, is just a part of it. And like that's for me something that has always kind of gone hand in hand. And I think when I'm in a bad like mental headspace, seeing people online maybe like thriving can make me feel bad about myself, even though logically we all know there's like enough room for success for everyone. I like had a bit of a moment the other day when I was at a market, and I like overheard someone near me saying about how, like talking to their other friend that was helping them run the stall, about how much money that they had made that day. And I was like, oh my god, they made way more than me, like their product must be better than mine, they're better than me, like I suck. And you just start telling yourself those stories. And I spoke to my mom about it, and she was like, that's not true, like every market is different. There's always going to be a market that someone selling prints does better at than someone selling ceramics, and vice versa. Sometimes ceramics are like more on the trend and prints are not. But she also just was telling me like, and reminding me, sometimes it's helpful just, I think, to hear someone say it to you, that there is enough room for everyone to succeed. And maybe this girl doesn't have as many people coming online, and you have more people coming online, and everything evens out and balances out, and everyone's efforts like get rewarded eventually in different ways. So it's still something I struggle with so much. I think when I'm like having extremely bad imposter syndrome and bad comparison to other people, I know that it's time for me to like take a step back and start looking inward and doing things that filling my cup and looking after myself, because I know that's normally at a point where I'm not doing that well mentally, if I'm like starting to have these recurring thoughts. How can you think positively of yourself if you're not treating yourself well, which I get caught doing often. So it's something we can definitely all work on together. If you have any good ways of dealing with imposter syndrome as well, I would love to hear, so let me know. Okay, this one's a little bit juicy. Someone asked, do I have a partner? No, I do not have a partner. I think it's so hard to meet someone when you work entirely for yourself and you don't interact with that many people. It's honestly even hard to make friends, I feel like, as a full-time artist, because like the only time I really meet other people and hang out with other artists is like maybe at markets and stuff, and I've like made some really beautiful friends through that. But it definitely makes it more challenging, especially when you don't have any co-workers. You really have to like go out of your way to organize stuff, and work takes up so much of my time. So it's definitely something I do want to give more energy to. I have tried Hinge and stuff and the dating apps, and it's just like grueling out there. So definitely, yeah, I feel like I need to put more energy into meeting a guy like more organically, because online dating is not it. What is the hardest part of starting a business that is also your passion? Something that I struggled with a lot, especially when I first started, is that when you love what you do, work never really ends or begins. So it's really hard to switch off in that sense. And like from first thing in the morning, I check my Instagram DMs, I might be responding to people at like 6 a.m. and then in bed at night, I'm like still like hooked in. I might be responding to comments on my reels. Like it never begins, it never ends. I kind of go to work and I do the majority of my work at work, and I try really hard to not bring any like ceramics or anything home to work on. So it is really difficult to, I guess, set boundaries with yourself about work, especially when you love what you do and you do feel passionate about it. Like for the last few weeks, I have literally been working pretty much 7 days a week, and it's been taking over my weekends because I don't know, I love it. And also I like want to work all the time, which sounds kind of crazy, but it's really hard to find a balance. So I think that's the hardest thing about loving what you do. Okay, there are so many good questions. I'm just gonna do one more because I think that I'm running out of time. This question is a little bit fun. So what are the 5 last things that you purchased? I'm gonna go get them and show you. I'm not gonna include any home things because I basically had to buy everything for my house and they're all really boring. Okay, so I've tried to find 5 things that are more like fun things that I bought for myself. So the first thing is this little scarf that my friend Maddie made. It is so cute. It has a tiny little apple on it. Her brand is called Pink Sink. It is, it's literally the sweetest thing ever. She customized it for me and put all these little different colors in it. And it's really long, so you can like wrap it around quite a few times. I am so obsessed with this. I am flying to Korea next week, so I'm definitely taking this with me. The next thing is this little Sanrio Hello Kitty bagu. I actually don't have that many bagu bags, surprisingly. I try not to hoard things because I think in my past life when I was younger, I just kind of over-consumed. So I needed a second bagu. I only had one. And when I was in Melbourne the other day at Pinky's, I decided to treat myself to a new one because I actually use them every single week for buying groceries, and I have already used this one heaps. So yeah, it's practical, but also it's extremely cute. Next is Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I haven't read this yet. I'm so excited to read it. I've almost been like savoring it for a time where I know I can like have some time off and actually like sit down and just smash the whole thing out, because I know I'm gonna want to read it in like one sitting. But yeah, I love all of her books. I think they kind of have defined our generation of readers. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this. I'll let you guys know what I think after I have finished it. I'm probably gonna save this for my holiday, I think. Okay, next, a lot of these things are art related. Can you tell I like art? This toad candlestick holder by Ash Green Ceramics. She was at Finders Keepers the last one I did in July, and she had, I think, one of these on the table, and then I went back later. I was gonna buy it and then I got distracted. I had to work, and then I went back later and it sold. So I asked her if she would make me one, and she sent it to me after the fact. And yeah, I've been using it to house little candles. It's so cute. I mean, it's like kind of ugly cute, but it's so, I love it. It's just like a little, it looks like an actual toad. Like it's kind of scary. Okay, and the last thing is this little print by Rochelle. I was so excited to see her work in person at the most recent Finders Keepers, and yeah, I love her stuff so much, so I had to grab this one. I'm gonna pop it on my wall. I just need to get a cute little frame for it, but it's a really beautiful quality print as well. So, and that was my 5 purchases. So that's gonna be it for this video today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.